My name is Yvonne Frankfurth. I'm a sociologist of gender, health and reproduction, and I'm currently a visiting postdoctoral researcher at Boston University. I grew up in Germany and I'm a first-generation university student, which means that when I arrived in Cambridge many years ago as an undergrad student, I arrived with a suitcase, a great deal of curiosity, but very little sense of what I was walking into. Now, why do I study reproduction? Well, I often say that reproduction isn't the niche topic that many perceive it to be. It's actually one of the clearest ways of understanding how a society is organized, in my opinion. Who gets to have children, under what conditions, through which technologies, at what cost, and with whose body. Those really aren't private questions, they're deeply political, and they tell us something about inequality, they tell us about gender, they tell us about labor, also about borders and belonging. They tell us also about what a state decides is worth protecting and who deserves to reproduce. Now, when I began studying this, I didn't quite realize how far those questions would take me. I wonder if anyone ever does. It really began with an undergraduate essay, an undergraduate HSPS essay at Cambridge in a course taught by Professor Sarah Franklin, who already back then was a leading, if not the leading scholar in the field of reproductive technologies and their social significance. And the essay was titled, "How has human reproduction been changed by technology?" And that really, it never let me go again, that topic. What was very compelling was the idea that IVF was not so much a medical miracle, but a social institution, and learning how the most intimate aspects of life are shaped by broader social, political and technological conditions. Many years later, Sarah would then also become my doctoral supervisor, and my PhD looked at the German prohibition of egg donation. So Germany is a country that bans a practice, a fertility treatment that's widely accessible elsewhere. It's the only country with Luxembourg in Europe where it's still prohibited, and that means that we have several thousand Germans traveling abroad for egg donation every year to countries like the Czech Republic and Spain to have their child. And I spent years following these journeys through ethnographic fieldwork, speaking with intended parents, egg donation families, donors, egg donor conceived persons, clinicians in various countries, and through all that, what became really clear to me is that reproduction doesn't simply stop at national borders. People move, but not everyone can move equally. And those differences shape who is able to have a child and who isn't, and how they're gonna have a child. And that really is where law, inequality and intimate life come together in very concrete ways that deserve to be studied and made sense of. Now, where is my work going now? For sure, that's not something I could have predicted a few years ago. Reproduction today is increasingly being turned into data. Algorithms are used to select embryos to match donors with recipients by facial resemblance, software to score eggs according to viability metrics, and that is a new trend that is both fascinating and unsettling to me. These tools, they don't just optimize outcomes. AI doesn't just optimize outcomes, but they embed assumptions about whose reproduction is valuable, and they do so at scale, often without us noticing. And that matters because it pushes us to ask new questions. Who gets to reproduce in these systems, on what terms, and according to whose criteria? Teaching matters a lot to me. Teaching is very important to me in my life, and as I said, I came to Cambridge as a first-generation student and very quickly encountered what people now call the hidden curriculum, or the unwritten knowledge about how academia, about how academic life works and what is expected, what is permitted. And when students arrive already fluent in that, it's a different experience from those that have to work it out as they go. And my own experience of having gone through that has never really left me, and it really shapes everything about how I teach and supervise, because I want students, whatever their background, whatever their level of certainty is, to feel that rigorous, ambitious thinking is something they can claim as their own. And that's something very important to me. And I think there's always the particular moment in teaching that I often think about, that when a student encounters an idea that makes the world they've been living in suddenly strange, opening up a new perspective from which everything can be questioned, re-seen, rethought, and at the same time more clearly visible. That moment of disorientation followed by recognition is where I think intellectual work really begins, and that's in a way exactly what draws me to teaching, observing that, and it's also what drew me to this field in the first place, my field of research, because I feel reproduction is one of those topics that does precisely that. It makes the familiar strange. It reveals that what we thought was natural or private or simply given is in fact deeply social, deeply political, and always contested. Reproduction, I've come to really think, is where you can see society thinking about itself, about what it values, what it fears, and who belongs. Yeah. And that turns, for me, to be out a question worth a life's work, at least so far, and I'm still part way in, I guess. So let's see where that journey might take me.